Hi, welcome to Kevin Alone's audiobook reading Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Part 3.7. Captain Robinson waited. There was an eerie calm. Before too long, Jumper stormed into the debriefing room at Nellis Air Force Base. "You got me killed," he barked at Captain Robinson. Situated in the Nevada desert, Nellis is home to the Air Force Fighter Weapons School. And on that day, the General John Jumper took a direct hit from a simulated missile from another U.S. Air Force jet playing the part of an enemy combatant. "Sir, it was not my fault," Captain Robinson replied calmly. "Check the video, you will see." The General Jumper, then the 57th Wing Commander, a graduate of the USAF Fighter Weapons School and former instructor at Nellis, routinely evaluated every detail of every training mission he flew. Pilots often relied on the video to learn from their exercises. The video didn't lie, and it didn't on that day either. It revealed that the error was indeed his, not Captain Robinson's. It was a classic blunder. He had forgotten he was part of a team. He had forgotten that what made him so good at his job was just not his ability. Jumper was one of the best because there were others who were looking out for him. A massive infrastructure of people he could not see. Without question, General Jumper had been given the best equipment, the best technology, and the best training that money could buy. But it was the mechanics, the teachers, his fellow pilots, the culture of the Air Force, and Captain Robinson who ensured that he could trust himself to get the job done. General Jumper forgot why he was so good and made a split second decision that cost him his life. But this is what training is for, to learn these lessons. Some 16 years after his lesson over the Nevada desert, General Jumper went on to big things. Now a retired four-star general, he served as Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force from 2001 to 2005, the highest ranking ununiformed office in the entire Air Force, responsible for the organization, training, and equipping of nearly 700,000 active duty, Guard, Reserve, and civilian forces serving in the United States and overseas. As a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he, along with the other service chiefs, advised the Secretary of Defense, the National Security Council, and the President. This is not, however, a story about General Jumper. It is a story about Lori Robinson, now herself a brigadier general in the Air Force. She no longer has her face down a scope. There are no more bogeys and band-aids. The Air Force's nicknames for the good guys and the bad guys in her life. Even though her job has changed, General Robinson still starts every day by reminding herself why she came to work. As much as she misses her kids, as she called those who serve under her command, General Robinson is still looking for ways she could clear a path for others so that they can push themselves and the organization further. The time to think of yourself is done. It is not about you. It is about the lieutenants behind you. She'd remind her students when she was an instructor at the fighter weapons school. "If enough of us do this," she goes on, referring to why she does what she does, "then we'll leave this military and this country in better shape than we found it." And it isn't that the point? And it is that sense of purpose, a clear idea of why she comes to work, that has been the cornerstone of General Robinson's success. And that, incidentally, has been remarkable. Working hard to clear a path for others so that they can confidently go on to do bigger and better things has in turn inspired others to clear a path for General Robinson to do exactly the same thing. As a woman in the very masculine world of the military, she sets an example for how to lead. Great leadership is not about flexing and intimidation. Great leaders, as General Robinson proves, lead with why. They embody a sense of purpose that inspires those around them. General Robinson was so trusted as a weapons controller that it was not unusual for pilots in training to request that she be assigned to them. The greatest compliment I ever got was when people would say, "When I go to war, I want Lori on the radio," she says. She's the first woman in the history of the Air Force to command the 552nd Air Control Wing out of her Tinker Air Force Base, one of the largest wings in Air Combat Command. The wing that flies the AWACS airborne control aircraft, the fleet of Boeing 707s with the huge rotating radar dishes on top. She's the first commander of the combat wing ever who didn't come up through the pilot ranks. She was the first female weapons school instructor to teach at the Air Force Fighter Weapons School, where the Air Force trains all its top guns. There, she became the most celebrated teacher in the ranks, winning Best Teacher 7 classes in a row. She's the first female director of the Secretary of the Air Force and Chief of Staff of the Air Force Executive Action Group. In 2000, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said of General Robinson, at the time still a captain, that she singularly influenced his ideas on air power, and the list goes on. By any measure, General Lori Robinson is a remarkable leader. Some in management positions operate as if they are in a tree of monkeys. They make sure that everyone at the top of the tree looking down sees only smiles. But all too often, those at the bottom looking up see only asses. Great leaders like General Robinson are respected by those both above and below. Those in her command trust her implicitly because they know she's committed to looking after them. "There's nothing you can do that I can fix," she was often heard telling students at fighter weapons school, and those to whom she reports show remarkably deference to her. "I don't know how she gets away with half of the stuff she does," say those who know her. More importantly, it is said with a grin and with respect. General Robinson's ability to lead developed not because she's the smartest or the nicest. She's a great leader because she understands that earning the trust of an organization doesn't come from setting out to impress everyone. It comes from setting out to serve those who serve her. It is the invisible trust that gives a leader the following they need to get things done. And in Lori Robinson's case, things get done. I use the military because it exaggerates a point. Trust matters. Trust comes from being a part of a culture or organization with a common set of values and beliefs. Trust is maintained when the values and beliefs are actively managed. If companies do not actively work to keep their golden circle in balance, clarity, discipline, and consistency, then trust starts to break down. A company, indeed any organization, must work actively to remind everyone why the company exists, why it was founded in the first place, what it believes. They need to hold everyone in the company accountable to the values and guiding principles. It's not enough to just write them on the wall. That's passive. Bonuses and incentives must revolve around them. The company must serve those whom they wish to serve it. With balance, those who are good fits can trust that everyone on board for the same reason and for the same reasons is also the only way that each individual in the system can trust that others are acting to leave their organization in a better way than we found it. Quote General Robinson again: "This is the root of passion. Passion comes from feeling like you are part of something that you believe in, something bigger than yourself. If people do not trust that a company is organized to understand and advance the why, then the passion is diluted. Without managed trust, people will show up to do their jobs and they will worry primarily about themselves. This is the root of office politics. People acting within the system for self gain, often at the expense of others, even the company. If a company doesn't manage trust, then those working for it will not trust the company, and self interest becomes the overwhelming motivation. This may be good for the short term, but over time, the organization will get weaker and weaker."